What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to be talking about a pen from Wancher. I've decided to call it Wancher. I know some of you call it Wancher, but I'm going to go with Wancher. So this pen, it comes in their standard box, which I think is really cool. It's an exceptionally lightweight wooden box. They have their logo, I think the tallest mountain in Japan. I'm not quite sure exactly which one this is. And I have no idea what that says. I assume one of them says Wancher, probably this one, but again, no idea. If any of you speak or read Japanese, let me know. And that's it. The rest of the box is pretty plain. Nothing too crazy. If you were part of the Kickstarter for the Dream Pen, either the Ebonite or the True Urushi, this is a very similar box. So you just open it up like so, and you have a bunch of things inside of it. So you get a little certificate here. Unroll this guy, and it says it tells you a little bit more about the actual pen itself. So it certifies the authenticity of the Dream Pen Kiei Urushi. I don't speak Japanese, I apologize. It says the artisan's signature who actually made your pen. And it says, this technique is a Urushi lacquer art technique, originally invented and developed by our artisans at Wancher. Inspired by the beauty of nature in Japan through the four seasons, our artist depicts the scene of nature when the combination of Japanese real natural leaves and natural Urushi, hence the technique Kainuri, literally translated as season reflection. The concept of Kainuri Urushi technique is enclosed with the message towards the beauty of nature and the brightness of life. Looking at the transition of each leaf during four seasons, we feel the breath of our life with strength and powerfulness. As each leaf blooms and grows on the tree, we also live our life to the fullest. Which I think is pretty cool. It says the whole process is done by hand. First, each leaf is carefully selected by our artisans. Then, after being steamed until completely dried, each leaf is pounded one by one to achieve the perfect thickness. In the meantime, each pen body is applied with multiple layers of Urushi lacquer to reflect the scene of nature. Next, each leaf is dyed with gold powder to have the gold color, then attached to the body of the pen with transparent Urushi. Finally, in order to honor the purest beauty of Japanese nature, which contains both smoothness and roughness, our artists keep the art as natural as they are applying matte Urushi with a technique that I cannot pronounce, aka the technique which does not require the polishing step. When you touch the body of each pen, you will feel the leaf as well as naturally rough surface of Japanese matte Urushi with some uneven dots. Please do not mistake the artistic purpose with defects. And that is essentially everything that's there. I will get into that a little bit further. Then in the box, you have just sort of like a social media type thing here. Got a little bookmark here, which I think is kind of cute. You've got the guarantee certificate, and then this little guy in here is just some standard cartridges in case you don't have any bottled ink or anything like that. Then also in the box, you have this pen kimono, and inside the kimono, you have the pen itself, which is beautiful. Holy smokes, is this thing beautiful. It feels amazing. It definitely has a matte finish. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Dream Urushi, it is so slick, that Urushi, whereas this definitely is not. And for the most part, the pen is exceptionally smooth. There's only really like one or two parts where you feel a bit of texture. I wouldn't even go so far as to say that it's rough. Because to me, when I hear rough, I'm starting to think of like almost sandpapery type texture, but this isn't. It's just something, you just feel something, but it's so small, and these leaves are incredible. So there's a bunch of different options that you can get depending on the finish. I chose the Akatema Nuri finish, which is more of like a red one, because that's the one that I have in the Dream Pen, which I really, really like. And then of course it is layered completely with gold. These leaves you can definitely feel. There's two main kinds of leaves that you can choose. There's one that involves these two, and there's another one that you can get as a single leaf, but it's much, much bigger. The gold is really cool, and I like the way that it pools at the end of both caps and around the edge of the cap where it meets the body. If you twist the pen to open it up, you're gonna feel a bit of a pop. I don't know why my voice went so high, but inside is a slip and seal mechanism, much like the Platinum Century 3776. So also same thing, when you close the pen, you have to put a little bit of force behind it, a little bit of tension, because it's gonna meet the nib, and the grip section are gonna meet that cap on the inside, so that way it doesn't dry out. It is a standard international cartridge converter. Wancher does provide a cartridge converter for you, which is pretty cool. It's nothing too fancy, but at least they give you one in case you don't have it. You cannot eyedropper convert these pens because of the metal component in there. But I wouldn't want to with something like a material like this anyways, because you never know if it's going to stain it, corrode it, do something funky to it, all that kind of good stuff. The nib on this one is a standard Yovo nib with a plastic feed. You do have the option to upgrade. And that's the only thing I don't care for this pen. I think if you're gonna get a pen that has such a unique design, you know, like painstakingly crafted to be so beautiful, I feel like this pen should automatically come with a gold nib without having to pay extra. I can't remember the exact cost off the top of my mind, but I'll put it at the very bottom here. It is not cheap. And it is not cheap because you're paying for the artisan's time, expertise, the fact that really no one else in the world knows how to do this. So primarily that's what you're paying for. But I do feel like it should come with a gold nib already. So to be standard with steel is a little bit disappointing, only because with the Dream Pen that I got through the Kickstarter, I did pay for the gold nib, and I do like that nib much better than I do like this one. Not that there's anything wrong with this nib. This nib writes phenomenally, as you'll see in a moment, but just for my own taste, I would have preferred the gold nib. I don't necessarily think that you should need an ebonite feed like I have with the Dream Pen, because this still keeps up pretty darn well, the plastic feed, but the gold nib I think should be included. That said, would I recommend this pen? Yes. It is on the larger side. So I mean, I don't have the world's smallest hands. I don't have the world's biggest hands either, you know, to give you a bit of sneak peek of what the videos coming next week. I have this Montegrappa Elmo pen here, and it is much, much bigger. It's the same physical size as the Dream Pen in both the Urushi and Ebonite version. Same body, same everything. It's just the coating that's different. So it's pretty large. It fits very nicely in my hand. I like the positioning of the leaves so that no matter where you screw this on, like when you take the pen body off, no matter how you start to screw it, the leaves will always end up on the top, which means that as you're writing, you get to see them and they don't get in your way or anything like that, which I think is really, really cool. The grip section's a little bit small. My thumb does rest up on this step here, which is a decent sized step, but it doesn't bother me. The threads are so far in that you don't feel them. You feel the step instead, but it doesn't really bother me that much. I can see it bothering some people because it is kind of a big one. But for me, I'm okay with it. Like I said, I've had the Dream Pen for a while, and that doesn't bother me either. You cannot post this pen, but the body is big enough where you don't need to. And I think that the weight is just right. It's not a heavy pen, but it definitely has enough to make it feel substantial, while still being on the slightly lighter side. So I would recommend this pen. Absolutely. Wancher, thank you very much. They sent this pen to me for review. They did not pay me for it. So all of my thoughts are my own. My voice cracked a little bit there. I really do enjoy this pen. Like I said, the only thing I wish is that it came defaulted with a gold nib. But other than that, I quite like it. Guys, thank you for watching, and let's head over to see how this thing writes. All right, so as you've all come to expect, this is the Wancher Dream Pen Medium Steel. It's basically a Jowo nib that just has the Wancher logo on it. What is the ink for today? That is Robert Oster. What is it actually? It's a crema or something? Cafe crema. Cafe crema. I don't know why I did that extra squiggle. It's an okay brown. It's got some decent shading. Let me bring in a little bit here. Ooh, gotta get it over the tripod. It's okay. I just smudged it a little bit. It reminds me of Lidate when it's really wet, but doesn't quite have the amount of shading. But for this pen, it's pretty good, actually. It writes really well. Never really had any hard starts or hard skipping. Only once, but it's because I put the pen down like this just for a quick second, and that quick second actually turned into several minutes. So then it did have a bit of a hard start, but any pen would. If you hear scratching behind me, I apologize. My cat decided that now is the time she needs to poop. It is a pretty hard steel nib, so you're not going to get any flex, any variation whatsoever. But Jowo is a very standard nib, so I'm sure a lot of you are used to that. For reverse, it's pretty scratchy, so I don't really recommend it. It's decently wet, like decently wet. This ink is not the wettest, not the driest, sort of like a happy medium, but this pen definitely keeps up. No problemo. I do prefer the gold nib with the ebonite feed on the Dream Pen that I purchased from Kickstarter. This, of course, is the steel nib with the plastic feed, so very standard. You can choose to upgrade, but it does come at quite a premium cost, which is my only sort of like bone of contention, if you will. You know, what you're paying for is the artistry of the actual pen itself. For the price point, I do wish the gold nib came standard. You know, maybe the ebonite feed to pay an extra little bit for, but I do wish the gold nib was standard and not a premium price point. But other than that, I really don't have any complaints about the pen. I quite like it. I would, of course, recommend it. I'm very grateful that I was sent this pen to try out. And it's pretty much been in my rotation ever since I got it. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I like it a lot. The medium nib, again, it's a Jowo nib. It is definitely a beefy medium as far as a Western medium goes. If you're used to like traditional Japanese pen, even though, you know, this is like an Asian pen from Japan, it is not a Japanese nib. So keep that in mind when you buy. But other than that, that's it for today. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you really liked it. Hit that like button if you haven't yet so done already. And I'll see you next time. Come join me. Come have fun. We hang out here every Monday and Friday. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.